This is a game we like to call Narrative Jeopardy, where basically the person who has to write the story is provided the end of the story and nothing else. They have to build it from the ground up from there.
Reverse engineer the whole thing.
Exactly right. Now, Tony, what was the ending to the story?
The ending to the story I had was...
that you made up as well.
As Dr. Desario was sucked into the vortex of doom forever, James knew what it meant to be a father.
Now just shut your eyes for those at home and picture that scenario in your head.
How would you write it, listeners? Because I thought about that all week, and I'm just not sure how I would tackle that one. And see, the ironic thing is that Tony pens that ending, never thinking that he would have to take it on.
No, but there you go.
So he's made it really tough for himself, but here we go.
No good deed goes unpunished.
We'll give Tony Besselink his platform to read his story.
Alright, so it starts off, the mayor placed a medal on James' shoulders. On behalf of the entire city, I would like to thank you, Super James, for defeating the giant death worm. The crowd gave out a mighty cheer. The police chief went over to shake his hand. How did you do it, he asked. James gave a falsely modest shrug. It's not that hard, really, when you have the power to turn into a duck. The mayor checked his watch. Holy...
No, how do you do that?
What? That's self-explanatory. He could turn
So
into...
he defeated a worm.
He's got the power to turn into ducks.
There's very limited situations where you could say, yeah, being a duck was an
Oh
advantage
no,
here.
an avalanche of breadcrumbs, what will we do?
The mayor checked his watch. Holy smokes, he yelled. Your son Billy's baseball game is about to start. You better hurry up if you're going to make it. Don't worry, Mayor, I've got it all sorted, said James.
Turns into a duck.
I'm just not going to go. I find those things excruciatingly boring, and to be honest, I would much rather sit on the couch and watch some TV. James turned to his son. Well, Billy, you better get going if you're going to make it to the game on time.
What a dick.
Can you give me a lift, Daddy? Asked his son. You're capable of catching the train, son. And with that, James headed off home. Boy, said the mayor to the police chief, he's a bit of a jerk to his son. Go easy on him, replied the chief. He never knew his father. And with that, they both left to commit adultery. Later that night, James was sitting on his couch eating chips when suddenly the mayor's face appeared on the screen. James, we've got trouble. We've received reports that your old nemesis, Dr. Desario, is constructing a vortex of doom to destroy the world.
Oh, it's all falling into place now, isn't it,
Why
Tom?
would he do such a thing, said James. The mayor frowned. To destroy the world. Didn't I just say that? Anyway, we managed to bring up the schematics and determined that you're...
Just the schematics out of nowhere.
We Googled.
We determined that your ability to turn into a duck is just what's needed to fit through the duck-shaped vents in his fortress.
The duck-shaped vents!
At that moment, Billy walked into the room. Daddy, can you help me with my math homework? I can't, son. Daddy has to save the world again. Well, actually, said the mayor, you don't have to leave right away. You've got about 2 hours before you need to head off. Oh, said James. Well, in that case, I'd rather watch a movie. As James began watching Dude, Where's My Car, the mayor shook his head disapprovingly and returned to his adultery. So now we have another scene change. As Dr. Desario watched as his vortex of doom grew larger and larger. Yes, he shouted maniacally. Once this vortex reaches critical mass, it will be unstoppable. Not so fast, yelled James. Blast! Super James, how did you get past my security lasers? That was easy, I just waddled underneath them. Blast! Yelled Desario. I keep forgetting you can turn into a duck.
It's his only power. It's like,
As if he keeps forgetting that he's one nemesis.
Yeah, I really should make notes
Who
about
has
this guy.
the most ridiculous power ever.
It's like, it's not a power you'd forget, Tom.
No.
But you hear that, you're like,
What kind of
yeah.
super ability is this guy?
James said to Dr. Desario, I have just one question for you, Dr. Desario. Why be so evil? Dr. Desario sighed. About 30 years ago, I had a son who was taken away from me. I never got to see him grow up. That void has made me want to destroy the entire world. Yeah, well, I never knew my father, and you don't see me trying to destroy the world. At that moment, Billy walked in. Dad, I'd like you to hear this poem I've written about us. He looked at Dr. Desario. Oh, hello, Grandpa. Hi, grandson, Desario replied. Wait a second, said James, thinking this through.
As the cogs slowly turn.
If I'm his father, and you're his grandfather, then that would mean you're my dad? Desario's eyes welled up. Son? The two ran and hugged and embraced each other.
How did they not know this before?
Tears streaming down their faces. Son, listen to me. There's no time, said Desario. We have to stop this vortex. But how, asked James. If someone enters it before it hits critical mass, the vortex will be closed over. After a long period of no one volunteering, eventually Desario said, I will enter the vortex. Dad, no, cried James. I just found you. I don't want to lose you. Son, said Desario, sometimes being a father means putting your children's needs ahead of your own. And as Dr. Desario was sucked into the vortex of doom forever, James knew what it meant to be a father.
Brilliantly done. See, I just imagine that entire time that there's two human beings and one duck. In the most critical scene of that story, there's this tiny duck.
No, the duck's not.
Oh, he's not a duck?
No, he wasn't a duck. He turned back.
Oh, he turned back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It seemed
He
like
can't talk in duck form.
Oh, right. Oh, well, of course not.
That would give him away.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, clearly I overestimated his abilities. I'm sorry.